guys, I'm the worst. I have not finished planting. There's not a lot left, but this thing is full of water because I didn't want them to get drowned by the rain. But yeah, I kind of quit when I got most of the stuff in. It is truly winter. My little herb garden is still going. Actually, my Japanese maple, it's a coral bark, and it is beautiful even without leaves. But yeah, even some basil's alive, which is really strange. Things are still going. They should fill out a lot more come springtime. That cilantro, we gotta make something yummy. Welcome to Schofield Farm. I'm Carice, and we are doing a December garden tour today. My goodness, how did it get to be December? I have a garden tour for every single month of this year, and you are welcome to check those out. But this is what we look like a full year later after starting our channel. And there's great things in this garden and kind of things not doing so great, but the fact we can grow food year round is pretty cool, and I want to share that with you. So let's get started. Right now the garden is definitely a winter garden. I want to show you my potato patch, and it was supposed to be sweet peas growing up, snap peas, but they have been attacked a lot by bugs and they're kind of struggling. They're doing all right. Let me show you this real fast. See that? They're pretty small. I put these old bamboo and sunflower stalks here for them to grow up, and they're kind of doing so, but they also are just super, super tiny. You can see it's not quite where I was hoping it would be in December, but it's got some hope. I think that it will come alive once we have some little bit warmer days, and I would love if they started producing peas, because that would be delicious, don't you think? Oh my goodness, here's a random onion coming up. That's funny. All of my potatoes died back in a hard freeze, and so you see the tops of them. I have not dug them up. It's been raining a lot and we have been out of town and stuff. So I need to go in here and get some potatoes like that one right there for my Christmas beef stew. That is what I do every year, is I make a big pot of delicious beef stew, bring it over to my mom's house, my sister's family, my mom. We eat beef stew. The kids share their Christmas presents and play, and we watch Christmas movies. It's super relaxed type of Christmas day, but I love the last couple of years I've been able to harvest basically like Christmas potatoes from my garden, and that is wonderful because we are zone 9B, which means we actually have the temps that we can grow food year round. Look at the roosters right there. I think he wants me to give him some chard. Here's one little treasure that can go in our dinner. This is so fun. I love growing my own food. Okay, before this becomes a potato harvesting video and not a tour, I've got to show you the other things in my garden. Right here, we have my asparagus beds. I have them in self-watering pots because when I first got them, I didn't actually have a designated place to put them. I figured I can move them around this way. I could always transplant them. This next spring is going to be the first year we get a harvest from our asparagus, which is so exciting. You have to wait 3 summers to harvest asparagus. Our first summer was in 2022, then 23, and next summer will be 24. So I can't wait to have those as a side with dinner. They're probably need to be cut back, but that's one of my garden chores that I need to do over the winter, and I'll do that soon enough. It's always fun to have volunteer plants like cilantro growing up. I just let those be because I will harvest from them. We have some mustards and stuff growing up inside of my asparagus beds too. Hey, why not? I made these little areas that used to be watermelon and beans and stuff into mustard beds, and they're so beautiful. This is like the prettiest thing in the winter in my garden. The Japanese red mustards. You can see some sort of bird or something is also enjoying it, but we put these on sandwiches and salads. I chop them up and put them in stews and lentils, and they are just absolutely delicious, but they're also absolutely beautiful. I put chard over here where I used to have my purple beans that were growing up this trellis. If you remember, those were so lovely. Well, the chard in the pots, they also add a pop of color and beauty to the garden. And for me, I'm someone who always loves to have color in the garden. I love tons and tons of flowers, tons of colorful vegetables. So having things like chard and mustards and stuff in the winter still keeps my garden feeling more alive and colorful. The next bed is my brassica bed, and you can see on the end here, there is a ton of parsley. This parsley is like thriving and loving life. I can't even believe how huge it is. That is 4 feet wide of parsley. Then we have our different brassicas. They are not quite as big as I hoped, but it's only December. We usually plant brassicas late fall because our temps are so hot in the fall. And then we have them overwinter and usually harvest them like late winter, February, early spring in the March, something like that. We'll have something to harvest from the garden. I have different ones in here, cauliflowers, cabbages. I believe I have broccoli on the end here. All sorts of things that I planted with you. These are so pretty. Look at that. I just like the color of the water glistening off of the leaves. This is solstice broccoli and it has like purpley leaves on the outside, and I think they are just quite lovely. I often pick varieties for their colors. My next bed were my hot pepper bed, and the hot peppers have froze. That's okay, I didn't even try to overwinter them here. I actually have a video where I showed how I brought 2 of my hottest peppers in to overwinter inside. Trinidad Scorpion and Habanero. I picked 2 plants that were quite productive for me so that they can be maybe even more productive next year. I'll show you what those look like. They're actually thriving. They're doing really well. They have leaves on them. Not quite what I was hoping, but hey, they're alive and happy in a east-facing window. But let's look at this bed. You're gonna have to ignore the dead pepper plants I have to still trim down to the ground. In between there are some other plants like cabbages and stuff. And I do have, I believe, I planted garlic around the edge of this bed with my kids, and I have some random volunteer onions in there as well, which is just from like last year that didn't come up. They're coming up now. Those will probably be the ones to flower, but if I harvest them as spring onions, we have wonderful fresh onions early in the spring, and they might not bulb up all the way, but that's fine. I love fresh onions even that aren't fully, fully mature and bulbed. Right here, you see the garlic that is coming up so lovely. I love garlic, and you'll see chard in so many of my beds. Chard is my favorite snack to feed my chickens. I also use it in green smoothies all the time. Here's some of the dead pepper plants. And we still have a little bit of color. These purple cauliflower are super pretty and they are doing well. Oh my goodness, is that one starting to get a head so early? It's not going to be a big head, but that's funny. We have had some warm temps, not crazy warm, but enough to confuse my garden, which is pretty typical for our area. Oh my, look at the California poppies, just waiting for a warm enough day to send up some blooms. Collecting rainwater accidentally, hey, I am not going to complain. I will use this wheelbarrow when we have spells of no rain to water by hand. I love the little areas that I have purple carpet alyssum growing over the sides of beds. It adds some sort of color to my garden even in the winter time. And I just love cascading flowers. I think it adds like a really special effect to a garden. It's quite lovely. These dead pepper plants were once so lovely and so full and vibrant. This was my medium, mild sweet pepper bed. I already cut those plants down, as you can see. On the end of this bed, I have the alyssum, but I also have some shallots. They are coming up. I forgot to harvest them last year, so they are just coming back, probably multiplying under there, which I am happy to receive. I have onions down the side of this bed. You can see them just starting to come up. They're doing much better than my onions last year that were dug up by squirrels who decided to bury acorns in their place. They didn't eat the onions, they just dug them up, left them upended, buried tons and tons of acorns. It was like a year of acorns last year where, when oak trees end up dumping a bunch more acorns than other years? Well, I probably pulled 50 volunteer oak trees from my garden beds. Yeah, those squirrels were busy saving up for the winter time. This used to be my beautiful echinacea. It will come back. Echinacea is a perennial here. I just cut it back and it will come beautiful up as soon as the temperatures are friendly to it. At the end of this bed, you're going to see green bunching onions, you're going to see cilantro, you're going to see some snapdragons over here. Cilantro only grows here in the winter. Well, I guess a little bit in the spring, but mostly winter plant for us. I always think it's such a bummer that it's not synced to the tomato, onion, garlic, pepper season of harvest. I always wish our cilantro did well then, but it doesn't like 115 degrees. Go figure. Most of us don't like 115 degrees either. So I kind of understand why it waits till the cooler weather. Here in Northern California, Zone 9B calendula show off in the winter time. They will bloom all winter long. They are beautiful, they are happy, they are vibrant. I need to make some balm with my beeswax because I keep saying I'm gonna make a salve for skin stuff with calendula and beeswax from our bees. It is almost Christmas time and one of my sons has terrible, terrible poison oak. And I keep thinking if I would just make that calendula salve with our beeswax, with a really high quality oil, with the calendula, maybe it would help his skin, but there's just not enough hours in a day. I need to dry more calendula now that they're blooming again. We often have pest pressure in the summer. I think it's spider mites that usually get them, but they always come back in the winter time, in the fall. As soon as the heat drops, they always come back. They're really blossoming. So that might be one of my winter chores, is to collect a bunch of calendula, dry it, and finally make that balm that I keep waiting to make. This bed was my mostly paste tomato bed, and the garlic in here is absolutely thriving. It is coming up just lovely. We planted so much garlic this year. I think we planted over 300 heads of garlic, and I wouldn't have it any other way, you guys. We have beets right up here in this little section. We have tatsoi, which is so beautiful. And it's pretty small, but it's already doing better than my tatsoi last year. My tatsoi last year was like half this size and then it bolted. What a strange year. We had snow, snow, snow. 5 times it stuck. And then we had bolting winter veggies. It was just very weird. Here is a bunch of kale. Became my kale bed. It was a tomato bed. Now it is a kale bed. As you can see, the kale is thriving. I am a humongous fan of kale. I love kale chips. I love kale salad with just some Romano cheese and olive oil and lemon juice from our own fresh Meyer lemons. And salt and pepper, it is so good. We love kale in smoothies. We love kale put in stews and salads and all sorts of things. I think I have almost 40 heads of kale in this bed, which is super cool. That is super awesome. You know, I look at gardening as not every year, not every season is everything you're going to plant thrive, but you'll have kind of like a star of the season where one year might be like really a pepper year, or a butternut squash will really thrive and do well, or maybe you will have wonderful herbs or tomatoes or potatoes. Sometimes you have a wonderful year of lettuce and kale. And those are just as valuable. Guys, at the store, they are crazy expensive. I was just shopping for just a few things for Christmas at the store. I was shocked at how much prices are going up. Prices are skyrocketing. This is the time, if you haven't started, to think about growing a garden. Not everybody can garden year round like us, but a lot of you could plant these things like kale, lettuce, different stuff in the spring, which is coming up so soon. I start a lot of seeds inside in January and February. And you know, that's kind of like dropping the idea in your head, if you don't grow food yet, to consider it as maybe something you start in 2024, because having a bed like this to go out and grocery shop from the garden is super valuable, because you know, not all of our incomes are going up as fast as food prices. A lot of us have to cut in one area to increase another area. And so gardening can be a great supplement to making your income actually go further. This next bed was my sweet potato bed this year. It has been tomato bed in the past. I decided to rotate sweet potatoes with it. And right now it is full of onions. I tried to plant carrots. I think I failed. I'll show you. I tried to plant some radish seeds. I think I succeeded with those. It's so interesting. As I said, it's so interesting, the things that succeed, the things that fail. It is always different. It always keeps us growing and learning as gardeners. We're always having to improve, because I don't think anybody has it down perfect to a science where nothing ever changes. There's always different variables, there's always different reasons. It's really interesting. It actually keeps it interesting. Otherwise, I might lose interest if it was like always exactly the same. I don't know about you, but I lose interest with things that are monotonous and always exactly the same. So here we have tons and tons and tons of onions that we planted all the way down. I like to plant onions and garlic around the perimeters of my bed. I feel like that is a great way to save space and to be able to interplant other vegetables in the middle, like these radishes that I planted from seeds I saved from our own garden. I will have a crop of radishes. Radishes usually take about a month to grow in the winter, sometimes a month and a half. Things grow slower with the shorter days, but I will get a harvest in here while the onions are slowly growing on the outside. This side that I did a ton of carrot seeds, there is nothing. I think those carrot seeds must be duds. I even put these boards on top of them for quite a while. Tried that trick. Nothing. There's not one sprout, not even one. Oh well. The next bed, oh my goodness guys, my hair is coming out of my hair tie. The next bed is mostly a lettuce bed with celery. I do have onions planted around the perimeter, but the celery I planted last spring and it actually grows back, which is pretty cool. But also I've delayed the harvest of some of them because celery is sweeter if you harvest it after the cold. It actually sweetens it up, and it didn't like bolt or anything, so why not keep it here and harvest it as I need it. I'm gonna pick some of the stalks for my stew. It's going to be absolutely perfect from the garden, wonderfully sweet, wonderfully beautiful. It makes really good bone broth. I actually will dehydrate the leaves to make a celery powder. So beautiful. I will also freeze a lot of the leaves to make bone broth. So delicious. But if you look under there, the stalks are really nice, big size. They are beautiful. They're huge. Here are 2 cups of celery. Goodness gracious, I had good intentions, right? Whoops. I meant to plant these and they've sat here in their cups and just waited. When I mentioned celery growing back, see where I harvested it right here? And it's coming back from the middle and it's growing again. That's so cool. It's like a renewable plant, renewable food. And I'm sure you noticed all the lettuce that's underneath my celery. I love growing lettuce. We eat a lot of lettuce in the winter. We have a lot of winter salads because that is when lettuce thrives here. All of this lettuce came from seeds that I saved from our own garden last summertime. 2 kinds, Mayan Jaguar and Butter Crunch. Those are both favorites of our family. Butter Crunch, Mayan Jaguar. Beautiful speckles. It's very pretty. I have an overgrown Sweet Alyssum on this edge of this bed. It needs to be freshened up a little bit. It's been here for like the whole time we've had this garden, like 4.5 years. We have onions all along the perimeter. I love interplanting. I love sewing different things together, not just for the pest resistance benefits, and I like the beauty of it. I like the space saving parts of it. I think that it is so fun to have gardens that are not just monocrop one thing in each bed, but are like interplanted and beautiful and all different. Well, the time of the marigold has come to an end. I knew it would. They were late bloomers this year, but that's okay. The chives though, they keep coming back bigger and better than ever. I have this really cool video about how I use chives to make a wonderful artisan chive salt. If you've never tried to use your herbs in different salts, you have to try it. It's so good. I will make sure to link to it, but that's one of the main ways we use chives. We use chives in everything. We use them fresh in salads. We dry them. I put them in casseroles. I put them on stews. I put them on potatoes. We love chives. They're really good for you. They're very delicious. They're like the mild oniony flavor. I've actually had people say they don't know what chives taste like. Think of the sour cream and chive potato chip. That gives you an idea of what chives are like. I seriously can't get over how beautiful a winter garden can be. strawberry bed, guys. It is kind of like the dormant season. I need to do a ton of pruning, a ton of thinning. I just haven't been able to yet. So we'll get to that later if we get to it. I do have shoulder surgery in January, so my expectations have to be realistic, but I think strawberries are really pretty and festive looking. How some of their leaves turn red. It feels so Christmas color, doesn't it? Like a happy December garden. Although moldy strawberries that froze are never what you actually want to see in your garden, but these are realities. My last bed to share with you today is my leeks, my onions, my lettuce. What do I even call this bed? It's kind of like a hodgepodge bed, but it's so pretty. Look at all those leeks. My goodness, it's like a forest of leeks, and leeks are awesome. Here where we live in Northern California, leeks actually, they re-sow, they self-sow, they're a perennial, so if you put them in a bed, they're going to keep coming back in that bed. They actually have these little, goodness, I don't know what you'd call them. It's almost like the sets people plant onions with. They're small, they come off the side of a leek, and they actually grow more leeks. It's really interesting. You can also grow leeks like I showed you with the celery, where you leave part of the leek in and it will grow back up from the middle. That's another way you can grow leeks. You can grow leeks from seed and make them into starts that you transplant. But these leeks may be here till the end of time. And they're really good because I like to alternate my alliums I use in my kitchen. Alliums are like onions, shallots, chives, leeks, garlic, whatever is seasonal, whatever I have on hand, that is what I use. And I will actually even interchange them in recipes. I don't only use leeks in recipes that call for leeks. I will often sub leeks into another recipe, and they work great. They're a lot more mild than an onion, but they give that wonderful flavor, especially when you saute them. They're really good. I like them. We have grown accustomed to using them a lot in our cooking, and they seem to thrive in our area. So why not grow something that really likes it here? This bed used to be mostly cherry tomatoes. It's interesting how much things change throughout the seasons and what ebbs and flows. I used to have a lot of different types of basil up front here, like Thai basil, Tulsi basil. Now those have gone. You can see some of their seed right there. But the lettuce have filled in their places, and it looks like it's about time for me to pick a salad. Now this is what we do. I take a chard and I put it through the fence. They know the drill. They come and eat it. The roosters make their little call for the other hens to come. It's seriously something that's so relaxing and soothing to me. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things to do, to just come sit out here and watch the quirky chickens eat my chard. It's part of why I grow so much chard. Hello, Duke. Here, throw that one. Here you go, Sam. Gonna be a good rooster for me? Couple dead plants I've got to pull out. That is just, when you year-round garden, you're always having to do the work to change things, and that is okay. It will happen. Can we talk about real life gardening? Is I am always pulling little weeds out of the path. I can't walk by them and not at least pull like a dozen, half a dozen, before they're way too huge. Pretty good one. There's something about digging in beautiful dirt, rich soil that we made just from like wood chips and compost that is so satisfying. It's so soft, so satisfying. I love this. Oh. What better winter way to spend my morning, right? Garden therapy, grounding. All right, dug up the potatoes that I could tell were potatoes. Not too bad of a harvest here. Definitely enough for more than one stew. A full year of garden tours. I don't even know what to say. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has joined my channel, whether it is recent or whether you've been here from the very start. It is super awesome to share my garden with you. I learned so much from other people when you leave advice and comments. Like someone left the advice of a specific type of lemon tree called a New Zealand lemonade that I should try, and I actually wrote it down on notes to look in our local nursery to see if I can find one to add next year. I just love you guys chiming in and adding your advice and your experience. So if you would chime in anything you want, any questions about gardening in the winter, any experience you've had, I love it. I seriously love it. And I'm gonna start digging up some potatoes. I mean, I'm out here anyway, and there's not as much to show you guys in the winter. There's things growing, but it's just different. So I might as well start getting ready for my Christmas dinner stew. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you soon. I love to share this stuff with you. Garden tours, harvesting. I even got pecked by one of our chickens through the fence. T-Hawk, he's my nemesis. My nemesis. He's that one rooster that everyone has, you know what I mean? I'll see you soon. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll do a garden tour in January. Be watching for it. Bye.